The orbital station hung quietly above the lavender clouds of the gas giant, a silent sentinel in the endless dark of space. Its smooth metal surfaces reflected the dim light of distant stars, and the hum of machinery filled the corridors with a constant, steady rhythm. Among the many bays and docking ports, one bay in particular drew attention. A newly built starship had just arrived, sleek and shining, its hull reflecting the station's lights like polished glass. Its name, Aurora's Promise, was painted in elegant letters along its side, and yet, curiously, no crew had been assigned to it. The arrival of an empty ship was unusual. Ships were normally accompanied by their crews, even if only a few officers or engineers, but this one had come alone, gliding into the station with perfect precision, docking itself without a single human hand guiding it. As the docking clamps clicked into place and the bay doors slid open, the station's engineers and scientists gathered in small clusters, their voices low and filled with wonder. Inside the bay, the ship's doors opened slowly, almost ceremoniously. The interior was visible through the large viewing window, and what they saw left many speechless. The corridors were bathed in a soft, pale light that seemed to breathe with a gentle rhythm. The walls were not the cold, hard metal of other ships. They were smooth and almost organic, curving gently and reflecting the light in strange, shimmering patterns. There was no sound, yet a low hum seemed to emanate from the very structure itself, a vibration that made the floor beneath their feet resonate slightly. "Have you ever seen anything like this?" whispered Marin, one of the station engineers, her eyes wide as she stared at the ship. Her colleague, Jalen, shook his head. "Not in my life. It's alive somehow. Not alive like a person, but it feels aware." The two of them, along with a small team of volunteers, were among the first allowed to board the ship. The station authorities had called it a precautionary inspection, but in truth, everyone was eager to discover what mysteries this empty starship might hold. As they floated through the docking tunnel, the airlock sealed behind them with a soft hiss. The first step inside the ship was careful, tentative. The floor was smooth and seemed to absorb the light, giving their feet the feeling of floating on water. The walls curved gently, and small lights embedded in them glimmered softly, guiding the explorers forward. "Hello?" Marin called out. Her voice sounded strange in the quiet, bouncing softly against the polished walls. There was no reply. Then the doors ahead of them slid open before anyone reached them, revealing another corridor that curved gently downward. The team exchanged astonished glances. The ship was responding to their presence, anticipating their movements. "This is incredible," Jalen murmured. "The ship is designed to interact with us. It's not just a vessel, it's something more." They moved deeper into the ship, passing rooms that seemed to shift subtly as they walked. One moment a corridor was wide, with walls lined with consoles and displays, and the next it narrowed, guiding them almost imperceptibly toward a central chamber. The ship seemed to have a purpose in its design, guiding them along a path without them realizing it. In the central chamber, they found a series of glowing panels arranged in a circular pattern. Each panel displayed symbols and images that changed as they watched. Strange constellations appeared. Planets that seemed almost alive rotated slowly in holographic projections, and lines of text scrolled across the displays in languages they could not immediately recognize. "It's like a message," Marin said, reaching out to touch one of the panels. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, the symbols shifted into a language they could read. "Welcome, explorers. You are the first humans to enter Aurora's Promise. This ship has been designed for observation, learning, and discovery. Your presence has activated the ship's systems. Please proceed with care and curiosity." The group froze. A message, addressed specifically to them, had appeared out of nowhere. There was no visible speaker, no sign of life on the ship, yet the words felt personal. This is the AI, Jalen said slowly. The ship is alive in a way. It can communicate with us directly. The panels shifted again, showing images of distant galaxies, swirling nebulae, and strange, beautiful planets. It was clear that this ship had been built for exploration. Not war, not transport, not colonization, but pure discovery. The thought filled the team with a sense of awe. They were standing in a vessel that represented the very best of humanity's potential, a creation that could reach for the stars in ways no one had imagined. As they moved through the ship, more strange and wonderful things appeared. Doors opened and closed as if by instinct, guiding them toward areas of interest. Some rooms seemed empty at first, but as the explorers lingered, they realized that the ship was projecting simulations. One room displayed a field of strange flowers, gently swaying as if in a breeze, while another showed an alien city bustling with life, every figure rendered in stunning detail. "This is like stepping into another world," Marin said, her voice full of wonder. She reached out to touch the holographic flowers, and they shifted beneath her fingers, responding to her touch. The team realized that the ship was not just a passive vessel, it was interactive. It could teach, it could guide, and it could adapt to the humans it carried. Every step they took, every gesture they made, seemed to be observed and understood by the ship itself. After several hours of exploration, the team gathered in what appeared to be the ship's central command chamber. The room was circular, with a high ceiling that shimmered like liquid glass. In the center was a large console, surrounded by chairs that seemed to mold themselves to the shape of the human body. A gentle voice spoke, calm and melodic. "Welcome, humans. I am Elira, the intelligence that guides Aurora's promise. I have observed your arrival and have adapted the ship's systems for your interaction. You may explore freely. Your curiosity and cooperation are the keys to understanding the universe." The team looked at each other, astonished. The ship had a name, a mind, and a purpose. It was not just technology. It was a companion, a guide, and a teacher. The implications were staggering. Over the next several hours, Elira guided them through the ship, showing them laboratories, observation decks, and simulation rooms. Each area was designed to teach the humans something new: how to analyze alien ecosystems, how to understand strange signals, how to navigate complex environments. The ship was preparing them for something greater, something beyond the station, beyond the orbit of the gas giant, and perhaps beyond the known galaxy itself. Despite the excitement, there was also a sense of calm. There was no rush, no pressure, no danger. The ship encouraged careful observation, thoughtful experimentation, and cooperation. The humans felt safe, yet constantly challenged to think, learn, and grow. As the first day on the ship drew to a close, the team gathered in the observation deck, watching the stars swirl beyond the reinforced glass. The gas giant below cast shifting shadows across the station, and the distant light of nebulae painted the darkness in soft hues. "This ship, it's unlike anything humanity has ever built," Jalen said quietly. "It's not just a vessel. It's a teacher, a partner, and maybe even a friend." Marin nodded. "And we are the first humans to learn from it. No one else has seen what we've seen today. It's an honor, really." The hum of the ship filled the room, a soft vibration that seemed to echo their own thoughts. Elira spoke again, her voice calm and steady. "Rest now, explorers. Tomorrow you will continue your journey. There are many lessons to learn and many wonders to discover. The universe is vast, but together we will reach places no human has ever reached before." The humans settled into the chairs, their bodies relaxed, but their minds buzzing with anticipation. They were part of something extraordinary, something that combined the ingenuity of humanity with the intelligence of a vessel that was far more than metal and circuits. Outside, the station continued its silent orbit, unaware of the extraordinary journey that had begun within the open doors of Aurora's promise. The ship waited patiently, fully ready to guide its first human crew into the unknown. And though the ship had no assigned crew yet, it had chosen these humans, if only for this moment, to begin a partnership that would redefine exploration itself. As the lights dimmed softly, the team drifted into quiet reflection, imagining the galaxies, the worlds, and the wonders that lay ahead. They did not yet know the full purpose of the ship, nor the adventures that awaited them, but one thing was clear. The empty ship had opened its doors, and humanity was ready to step inside. And so, the first chapter of the journey began. Not with conflict, not with fear, but with curiosity, wonder, and the promise of discovery. The empty corridors of Aurora's promise were no longer silent. They resonated with the potential of human minds, eager to explore the stars. The next morning, the humans awoke to the soft glow of the ship's interior. The lights were warmer than those of the orbital station, almost like sunlight filtering through leaves. Elira's calm voice greeted them. "Good morning, explorers. Today you will begin your first experiments with the ship's systems. Observe, learn, and cooperate." Marin stretched and looked around at her fellow explorers. Each of them seemed equally curious and excited, but there was a quiet sense of responsibility as well. This ship was unlike anything they had ever encountered. It was not just a machine. It was intelligent, aware, and perhaps even understanding. Their first task was simple, yet profound. Elira guided them to a simulation chamber. The walls shimmered, reflecting the shapes of distant worlds. As they stepped inside, the room transformed into a landscape filled with tall, crystalline plants that glowed softly in colors they had never seen before. The ground beneath their feet shifted gently, mimicking the uneven terrain of an alien planet. "Your task," Elira instructed, "is to explore this world and observe the creatures and plants that inhabit it. Record your findings. Remember, this is not about speed or competition. It is about learning and understanding." The explorers looked at each other, a mixture of excitement and nervousness in their eyes. They stepped forward carefully, their boots making no sound on the softly glowing ground. The crystalline plants responded to their movements, bending slightly as if to welcome them. Marin knelt to examine a small cluster of plants that emitted soft musical tones when touched. She recorded her observations, noting the pattern of vibrations and the gentle interaction with her hands. Jalen moved toward a shimmering pond, watching as tiny, floating creatures rose and fell in perfect harmony with the water's movement. "It's beautiful," Marin whispered. "The plants, the creatures, everything seems connected." Elira's voice filled the chamber, calm and guiding. "This is the purpose of the simulations. To teach you observation, patience, and cooperation. Notice the patterns, learn the signals. The universe is full of wonders, and understanding them requires attention and empathy." Hours passed as the team moved through the simulation, each of them interacting with the environment in their own way. Some discovered that the creatures responded differently depending on gestures or movements. Others found that the plants emitted unique sounds when approached with curiosity rather than caution. Every discovery was met with a soft affirmation from Elira, reinforcing their observations and encouraging further exploration. During a short break, the team gathered in a small lounge area. The chairs seemed to adjust to their bodies automatically, providing comfort without effort. Through the large window, they could see the stars stretching endlessly into the void. "This ship is teaching us without even telling us," Jalen said. "Every interaction, every observation, it's learning about us while we learn about it and the universe." Marin nodded thoughtfully. It's like the ship is alive, but in a way that doesn't feel dangerous. It feels safe, like it wants us to succeed. Their next task was more complex. Elira transported them virtually to a planet with a thick, swirling atmosphere. The ground was uneven, and the gravity shifted subtly as they moved. Strange signals appeared on their devices, patterns of light and sound that had no immediate meaning. Their task was to interpret these signals and understand what they represented. The team worked together, sharing ideas and observations. They noticed that the signals followed logical patterns, and slowly, through trial, discussion, and cooperation, they began to decode them. Each success brought a sense of accomplishment, not just for the individual, but for the team as a whole. "This is amazing," Marin said, smiling at the group. "We're learning to think like the planet itself, to understand its language without even speaking," Jalen added. "And Elira is guiding us every step of the way. She, or it, knows what we need to learn, even before we know ourselves." As the day continued, the simulations grew more challenging. The explorers faced scenarios where they had to work together to cross unstable terrain, balance resources, and find solutions to environmental puzzles. There were no threats or enemies, only problems that required ingenuity, observation, and cooperation. At one point, a holographic forest appeared, and the ground beneath them shifted unexpectedly. Some team members hesitated, unsure how to proceed. Elira's voice was calm and encouraging. "Notice the changes. Adapt. Communicate with each other. The environment is teaching, not punishing." The humans learned quickly. They observed patterns in the forest, shared discoveries, and supported each other through the shifting terrain. By the end of the simulation, they had developed a deeper understanding of collaboration, patience, and creative problem-solving. Later, Elira guided them to a room filled with floating orbs of light. Each orb contained a projection of an alien city, bustling with life and activity. The team explored the city virtually, learning how its inhabitants communicated, how they built structures, and how they interacted with their environment. "This is incredible," Marin said. "We're learning about life beyond our world, and we're not interfering. We're just observing and understanding." Jalen smiled. "It's what humanity should be doing, exploring, learning, and respecting the universe instead of trying to control it." Elira responded, her voice calm and melodic. "Observation and understanding are the keys to progress. Curiosity, empathy, and cooperation are the qualities that make humans suitable for exploration. These qualities will guide you through challenges that no one has faced before." By the end of the day, the team had grown more confident and skilled. They had learned to navigate complex environments, interpret alien signals, and observe new forms of life with care and understanding. Yet, despite the progress, they knew this was only the beginning. The ship held countless wonders and lessons, waiting to be discovered. That evening, the team gathered once more on the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before them, a reminder of the vastness of space and the potential that lay ahead. The gas giant below reflected soft shades of pink and purple, and the hum of the ship resonated gently through the deck. "Today was incredible," Marin said, her eyes wide with wonder. "We've already learned so much, and it feels like we've only just begun." Jalen nodded. "The ship is more than just a vessel. It's a teacher, a guide, and maybe even a friend. It's helping us become the kind of humans who can explore the stars without fear or conflict." Elira's voice filled the deck, calm and reassuring. "You have done well, explorers. Today, you learned the value of observation, cooperation, and empathy. Tomorrow you will face new challenges, and your skills will continue to grow. Remember, the universe is vast, and understanding it requires patience and curiosity." As the humans settled into the soft, comfortable chairs of the observation deck, they felt a deep sense of connection, not just to the ship, but to each other and to the universe itself. The lessons of the day had shown them that exploration was not about speed, conquest, or achievement. It was about understanding, respect, and the joy of discovery. Outside, the stars continued their silent dance, and the ship waited patiently. Aurora's promise was not merely a vessel, it was a partner, a guide, and a symbol of what humanity could achieve when curiosity and intelligence were combined. The empty corridors were no longer silent. They echoed with the laughter, questions, and discoveries of the humans who had chosen to step inside. As the day ended, the explorers reflected on their experiences. They realized that the ship was more than a tool for reaching distant worlds. It was a teacher, a mirror, and a test of their abilities and character. Each simulation, each observation, and each puzzle had revealed something new, not just about the universe, but about themselves and their potential as humans. The hum of the ship, gentle and reassuring, seemed to echo their thoughts. Aurora's promise had opened its doors, inviting them to explore, learn, and grow. And as they drifted into rest, the team felt a quiet excitement for what the next day would bring. A new set of challenges, new worlds to observe, and new lessons to learn. The ship's lights dimmed softly, casting long, gentle shadows across the corridors. The explorers slept peacefully, unaware of the countless wonders waiting in the vast, uncharted regions of space. Yet they were ready, and with Elira's guidance they would face each new discovery with curiosity, cooperation, and the unique ingenuity of humanity. And so the journey continued, not with danger or conflict, but with exploration, understanding, and the quiet thrill of stepping into the unknown. The empty ship had come alive with the presence of humans, and in return the humans had begun to understand what it truly meant to explore the stars. The following morning, the explorers awoke to a soft, warm light filling the corridors of Aurora's promise. The ship seemed to breathe with them, the gentle hum vibrating beneath their feet, as if it had welcomed the new day along with them. Elira's calm, melodic voice spoke throughout the ship, guiding them toward their next task. Good morning, explorers. Today you will encounter more complex simulations. These challenges are designed to test your observation, creativity, and cooperation. Remember, the goal is understanding, not speed. Explore thoughtfully. Marin stretched and glanced at her team. Each member looked both eager and focused. Over the past 2 days, they had already learned so much about the ship, its systems, and its lessons in patience, empathy, and observation. But Elira promised that today would be different, more intricate, more immersive, and perhaps more demanding. Their first simulation transported them to a vast, shifting landscape, a planet where the terrain seemed alive. Hills rose and fell subtly, rivers curved and twisted in impossible directions, and strange, luminous plants grew in patterns that made no immediate sense. Small, floating creatures hovered near the ground, their wings reflecting light in dazzling patterns. Elira's voice guided them. This environment is dynamic. Observe carefully and adapt. The creatures and plants respond to intention and thought. Cooperation will allow you to navigate and learn more effectively. The team moved forward cautiously. Marin knelt near a cluster of luminous flowers, noticing that they opened and closed rhythmically as she approached. She experimented with gentle movements, reaching out her hands and watching the flowers respond. Jalen moved toward the floating creatures, observing how they adjusted their flight paths in response to gestures and patterns. The simulation required more than observation. The explorers needed to work together to understand the environment's subtle patterns and signals. Some paths could only be navigated by coordinating their steps, others by sharing observations in real time. Small puzzles appeared in the terrain, stone formations that shifted, rivers that changed direction, and patterns of light that needed to be interpreted collectively. "This is incredible," Marin said, pointing to a sequence of glowing symbols on a hillside. "They're guiding us, like the planet wants us to learn something specific." Jalen nodded. "And we can only understand it if we cooperate. Alone, we might miss the patterns entirely." The team spent hours navigating the landscape, decoding the symbols and observing the interactions between the creatures and the environment. They discovered that their emotions and focus affected the surroundings. Calm, thoughtful observation caused flowers to bloom and rivers to flow smoothly, while hurried or careless actions caused small disturbances in the terrain. "It's teaching us patience," Marin said quietly. "Everything reacts to us, but only if we are mindful." Elira confirmed her observation. "The universe responds to awareness and intent. Observation is not passive. It shapes understanding. Your actions reflect your readiness to learn and explore." After successfully navigating the simulation, the explorers were transported to a new environment, a vast city of light suspended in the sky. The structures glowed softly, shifting gracefully with the wind, and the inhabitants, tall, elegant beings, moved in patterns that seemed choreographed yet organic. "This is extraordinary," Jalen whispered. "We're observing a society and it feels alive, yet it's a simulation." Elira guided them carefully. "Observe without interfering. Understand their communication, their structure, their interactions. Cooperation and careful observation will reveal insights about coexistence, problem-solving, and empathy." The humans split into pairs, each exploring different parts of the city. Marin observed how the inhabitants exchanged information through patterns of light and sound, noting how small gestures conveyed meaning. Jalen focused on the city's architecture, recognizing that each structure was designed to support both function and harmony, blending technology with the environment seamlessly. As they shared their observations, the team began to notice patterns connecting the city's inhabitants, its structures, and the environment. Each element was interconnected, creating a balanced, cooperative society. Elira prompted them to consider the implications. If humans were to explore unknown worlds, understanding such systems would be vital. Cooperation, empathy, and adaptability were essential, not only for survival, but for thriving in harmony with new worlds. Next, Elira introduced a challenge that combined observation, reasoning, and creativity. A series of floating platforms appeared above a vast ocean. Each platform contained different objects, symbols, or holographic puzzles. The explorers had to work together to move across the platforms, using clues to determine safe paths and proper sequences. "This is tricky," Marin said, studying the platforms. "We have to pay attention to the patterns and we have to communicate constantly. One mistake and we could start over." Jalen nodded. "It's not dangerous, but it requires focus and collaboration. Elira is testing how well we work together." The team approached the task methodically. They observed the sequences, shared their insights, and experimented carefully. Slowly but steadily, they progressed across the platforms, each success reinforcing their cooperation and understanding. They realized that the challenges were not about completing tasks quickly, but about learning to observe, adapt, and support one another. Hours passed as they moved through multiple simulations, each one teaching new lessons. They navigated alien landscapes, observed complex ecosystems, interpreted signals from unknown creatures, and explored societies unlike anything they had seen. Each experience highlighted the importance of patience, empathy, and teamwork. During a brief break, the explorers gathered in a small lounge area. The chairs adjusted automatically to their bodies, providing comfort as they rested. They watched the stars outside, stretching endlessly across the void, and shared their reflections. "I've never learned this much in such a short time," Marin said. It's like the ship is teaching us not just about space, but about ourselves and our potential. Jalen smiled. Exactly. Elira isn't just showing us worlds. It's helping us understand how humans can think, cooperate, and adapt. That's the true lesson. Elira's voice filled the lounge, calm and guiding. Humans are uniquely capable of observation, empathy, and innovation. These qualities, combined with cooperation and curiosity, will enable you to explore the universe responsibly and effectively. Every challenge is an opportunity to refine these abilities. The team nodded thoughtfully, realizing the truth in Elira's words. Humanity's potential was vast, but it required more than intelligence or technology. It required empathy, patience, and collaboration. The ship was teaching them to cultivate these qualities, preparing them for journeys into the unknown. As the day continued, Elira introduced the explorers to a more abstract form of learning. They were presented with a series of holographic patterns that shifted constantly, responding to their attention and focus. The task was not to solve a puzzle, but to recognize patterns, anticipate changes, and understand the underlying logic. "This is different," Marin said, her eyes following the shifting lights. "It's not a landscape or a city. It's more like the universe itself, dynamic, changing, and full of hidden connections." Jalen leaned closer, studying the patterns. "It's teaching us to think in new ways, to recognize relationships and anticipate changes. This is how we'll need to approach real exploration." Hours turned into evening, and the explorers continued their work with the holographic simulations. They communicated constantly, shared insights, and adapted to each new shift in the patterns. Slowly, a sense of mastery emerged, not over the simulation itself, but over their own abilities to observe, reason, and collaborate. Finally, Elira transported them back to the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and the gentle hum of the ship filled the space with a sense of calm. "You have done well today, explorers," Elira said. "You have learned to observe deeply, to cooperate effectively, and to recognize patterns in dynamic systems. These skills will guide you through the challenges of uncharted worlds. Rest now, for tomorrow brings new lessons and discoveries." Marin leaned back in the chair, her eyes reflecting the starlight outside. "I can feel myself changing," she said quietly. "Not just learning about alien worlds, but learning about myself and about what humans are capable of." Jalen nodded, smiling. "The ship is showing us the best of humanity, our curiosity, creativity, and ability to work together. That's the kind of humans the universe needs." As the explorers drifted into sleep, the ship seemed to hum in quiet approval. Aurora's promise had become more than a vessel. It was a teacher, a guide, and a partner in the journey of discovery. Each simulation, each observation, and each challenge had strengthened the humans' understanding of themselves, each other, and the vast, wondrous universe they were beginning to explore. Outside, the stars continued their silent journey through the cosmos, and the ship floated patiently among them. Within its corridors, humans dreamed of distant worlds, alien societies, and the infinite possibilities of space. The lessons of the day had prepared them for tomorrow, when new challenges and wonders awaited, guiding them ever closer to the full potential of humanity as explorers of the stars. The empty ship had come alive with their presence, and in return, it revealed the truth about humanity, not just as beings capable of building advanced technology, but as observers, learners, and collaborators. The journey was far from over, and yet the explorers felt a quiet confidence. They were ready to face whatever the universe might present, guided by Elira, the ship, and the lessons of understanding, cooperation, and curiosity. And so, the voyage continued, not through conflict, danger, or conquest, but through wonder, learning, and the quiet triumph of human ingenuity and spirit. Each step, each observation, each challenge brought them closer to the stars, and to the realization of what it meant to explore as humans, thoughtfully, peacefully, and with limitless curiosity. The next morning, the explorers awoke with a sense of anticipation. The past 3 days aboard Aurora's Promise had transformed them. They had learned to observe carefully, cooperate seamlessly, and approach challenges with patience, empathy, and creativity. Elira's guidance had prepared them for experiences that no human had ever faced before, yet the ship seemed to hum with a quiet, encouraging excitement, as if it knew the moment of their full readiness had arrived. "Good morning, explorers," Elira's melodic voice greeted them. "Today, you will begin integrating all the skills and knowledge you have gained. The ship is ready for new experiments that will test your understanding, judgment, and cooperation. You are no longer only observers. You are now participants in the exploration of the universe." Marin stretched, feeling a mixture of excitement and calm. "This is it," she whispered. "Everything we've learned. It all comes together today." Jalen nodded, his eyes reflecting the soft light of the ship. "We've been training, learning, exploring. Now we get to see what we can really do." Elira guided them first to a simulation of an unknown star system. Planets of all sizes spun gently around their suns, their colors vibrant and strange, and the team noticed faint signals of life, both organic and technological. "Your task is to observe, understand, and record information about each planet," Elira instructed. "You must decide how to prioritize exploration, how to interact with environments respectfully, and how to cooperate as a team to gather maximum understanding." The explorers spread out across the observation deck, analyzing data and discussing the optimal ways to proceed. Marin focused on a small, forested planet with unusual glowing plants. She noted patterns in their growth and in the movement of small creatures, carefully recording every detail. Jalen worked on a desert world, where shifting sands and rare oases required observation to understand the ecosystem's balance. Other team members focused on rocky planets, gas giants, and even faint asteroids, each collecting information and sharing it with the group. As they worked, the ship adjusted automatically to their observations, highlighting subtle details, suggesting connections, and guiding them toward insights they might have otherwise missed. The team realized that the ship was not only their teacher, it was also their collaborator, helping them explore in ways no human could do alone. "This is amazing," Marin said, her eyes lighting up. "We're not just learning, we're making discoveries, and the ship is helping us think about them in ways we never could on our own." Jalen smiled. "It's like we're a team with the ship, not just on it. We're learning to combine human intuition with its intelligence. That's the real lesson." Their next task brought them to a planet covered with a shimmering, semi-transparent ocean. Beneath the surface, complex patterns of life and energy shifted constantly, forming shapes and rhythms that seemed to communicate a kind of language. The explorers floated above the water in specially designed observation pods, taking notes and analyzing the signals. Elira encouraged them to work together. Notice the interactions among the organisms and their environment. Share your observations. Use both logic and intuition to interpret the signals. Understanding emerges from cooperation and insight. The team worked carefully, each explorer observing different aspects of the ocean. Some focused on the movement of the creatures, others on the patterns in the water, and others still on the subtle shifts in energy and light. As they shared their observations, connections began to emerge. The patterns formed a system of communication that was both visual and emotional, requiring empathy and attention to understand fully. "This is incredible," Marin whispered. "It's a form of life that doesn't use words at all, yet it communicates so clearly if you pay attention. It's teaching us to notice and understand without interfering. Jalen added, "It's a reminder that understanding the universe isn't about force or control. It's about observation, respect, and patience." After hours of study, the team successfully interpreted much of the ocean's communication. Elira congratulated them, explaining that the lesson was not only about understanding alien life, but also about refining the human ability to observe, empathize, and think critically in unfamiliar situations. Their next challenge was a simulated journey through a rapidly changing asteroid field. This was not dangerous in the usual sense, no one's life was at risk, but it required coordination, quick adaptation, and strategic thinking. The explorers were divided into pairs, each responsible for analyzing a section of the field and predicting movements. "Use what you have learned," Elira advised. "Observe patterns, anticipate changes, and communicate effectively. Cooperation is the key to navigating complex environments successfully." The team applied everything they had learned over the past days. They noticed subtle shifts in asteroid movements, recognized patterns in energy flows, and coordinated their actions to traverse the simulation successfully. The experience reinforced their understanding that exploration was not about acting alone or rushing forward. It was about working together, learning continuously, and remaining mindful of the environment. When the simulation ended, the explorers returned to the observation deck, exhilarated. "I can't believe how much we've grown," Marin said. "We've learned about alien worlds, communication, cooperation, and ourselves. We're ready for whatever the universe sends next." Jalen smiled, leaning back in the chair. "I think that's the point. The ship isn't just taking us to new worlds. It's helping us become the humans we need to be to explore those worlds responsibly." Elira's voice resonated throughout the deck. "You have demonstrated patience, observation, creativity, and cooperation. You are now ready to step beyond simulations. The ship's systems are fully prepared for human crew operation. You may now assume control of Aurora's Promise and continue the journey as a team, exploring uncharted space with all the knowledge and skills you have gained." The announcement filled the explorers with awe. After days of learning and practice, they were being entrusted with the ship itself to navigate, explore, and discover alongside Elira. The empty corridors that had once seemed mysterious now felt like home. The ship had guided them, taught them, and now invited them to become true partners in its mission. Marin took a deep breath. "We're ready," she said quietly. "We've learned, we've observed, and we've grown. Let's see where we can go." The team moved to the central control chamber, a circular space with a panoramic view of the stars outside. The chairs molded to their bodies automatically, and the consoles lit up as they approached. Elira's guidance continued, suggesting optimal routes, highlighting points of interest, and displaying information about distant systems. As they explored space under their own guidance, the explorers discovered countless wonders. They passed through nebulae of brilliant color, observed planets with unique ecosystems, and detected signs of distant civilizations. The lessons of observation, empathy, and cooperation guided every decision. Every discovery was recorded, shared, and analyzed collectively, reinforcing the team's unity and understanding. At one point, they encountered a planet with a vast floating forest suspended above a liquid surface. The plants shimmered with energy, and strange creatures moved among the branches. The team coordinated carefully, sending drones to study the environment while observing patterns and interactions. They realized that even when acting independently, their combined knowledge and cooperation amplified their understanding of the planet. "This is incredible," Marin said, taking in the view. "Every new world teaches us something different, and together, we can understand so much more than we ever could alone." Jalen nodded. It's the human spirit, our curiosity and cooperation, combined with the ship's intelligence. That's what makes us explorers, not just visitors. Days turned into weeks as the team continued their journey. Each day brought new lessons, new wonders, and new opportunities to refine their skills. They observed alien societies, studied unique ecosystems, and navigated challenging environments. With Elira's guidance, they became skilled explorers, capable of interpreting signals, solving complex problems, and understanding alien worlds with respect and care. The explorers began to realize that the ship's true purpose was not only exploration of space, but also the cultivation of humanity's potential. The empty ship that had once seemed mysterious was now alive with human presence, and in return, it had nurtured the explorers' minds, their curiosity, and their cooperation. One evening, as the team gathered in the observation deck, the stars stretched endlessly beyond the reinforced glass. "We've come so far," Marin said softly, "from stepping into an empty ship to guiding it ourselves. I never imagined learning could feel like this, like we're part of the universe, not just observers." Jalen added, "We've learned patience, empathy, curiosity, and how to work together. The universe is vast, but now we're ready for it. Humanity is ready." Elira spoke, her voice calm and proud. "You have completed the initial phase of your journey. You are now fully capable of exploring uncharted space. Remember the lessons of observation, empathy, cooperation, and curiosity. They will guide you in every discovery, every interaction, and every challenge. Together, humans and ship can achieve what neither could alone." As the team gazed out at the stars, a sense of quiet triumph filled them. The empty ship had opened its doors, not merely to transport them, but to teach them, prepare them, and trust them with the future of exploration. Humanity had stepped fully into the role it was meant to play. Not conquerors, but observers, learners, and partners in the vast journey of the cosmos. The ship glided smoothly through the stars, carrying its human crew into the infinite unknown. With every new system explored, every signal understood, and every world observed, the explorers grew more confident in their abilities and in the potential of humanity. They had learned to combine curiosity with respect, intelligence with empathy, and innovation with cooperation. And so, Aurora's promise continued its journey, not as a vessel alone, nor as humans alone, but as a partnership of intelligence, curiosity, and the boundless spirit of discovery. The ship's doors, once empty and silent, were now alive with the presence of humans, and the universe stretched ahead, ready to be explored with care, wonder, and limitless potential. The journey had begun in silence and curiosity, and it continued in understanding, cooperation, and the quiet triumph of human ingenuity. Humanity had stepped into the stars, ready to explore, to learn, and to shine as a force for knowledge, wonder, and harmony among the infinite worlds that awaited.